I couldn't handle that in the beginning. And we both managed that, and we both have kind of reached that sweet spot in our family. Because if we hadn't, we wouldn't be able to work together. Where we're not going to over focus on the way something's said if what is said is truthful.
Mm-hmm. Hello and welcome to another episode of The Family Business with the Alessis, where family is everybody's business.
Yes,
I'm Steve Alessi, and today we are in the podcast booth with my precious wife, Mary Alessi, and we're sipping out of our family business with the Alessi coffee mugs.
And the back of mine says the original Yappuccino.
Yappuccino.
That's why I like this one.
Listen, this is a great way to start your year.
It is.
If you're going to sit down, do a little meditation, little devotion, whatever it is, with your cup of coffee, a little morning ritual, why don't you go ahead and use the Family Business with the Alessi mug?
Yeah.
Or at least commit to, when you're listening to the episode, to go ahead and put something in it like coffee.
Yeah. And you know what?
And enjoy it.
I have an idea.
What did you do?
If they will share this particular podcast, this one, if you'll share it on your streaming platforms and let people know about it, I don't know how we're going to do it. We'll have it figured out by the end of this podcast, but we want to get you your own mug.
Yes.
So we need people to share it.
At a discounted rate of free.
Yeah, but somebody's going to get it for free.
Yeah.
So share it on YouTube, like it, share it. How about that? Like it and share it. And what else, Alan? What else do they need to do? Tag somebody. If you do all three things, are we going to give everybody that does that a free coffee mug?
Yes, let's do it.
Nope, we're only going to give out one. So we'll put your name in a raffle and we'll draw your name and you will get this lovely mug. You know, mugs aren't cheap anymore.
Yeah.
They're not cheap anymore, even to have them made.
Yeah.
So this is a beautiful one.
Actually, the more you do it,
easy to hold.
The more maybe we can get others to. Also
just do it and help us. Like it, tag it, share it. Those three things. And we'll put your name in a raffle.
That's
for
right.
A free
And
mug.
we're doing this because we know you're broke right about now.
Well,
it's been Christmas, New Year's, all the money's gone. So you got no money to spend. So we're going to go ahead and help you.
Yes.
Help yourself, which is what this episode could be about today. We're going to be talking family, since we do talk about the family being everybody's business. Here's something that happens that I think is a great protection mechanism to keep your family united. You can adopt a certain policy. In our family, we had to create a rule.
Yeah.
And the rule was, whenever we would get around other people or other family members and maybe an argument ensued somewhere between one of our family members and somebody else that's outside of our family, we had to say, listen, whenever that happens, always defend your family member. Right. So in this case, if Christopher was having an argument with somebody and his sisters may agree with the somebody that he was having an argument with, then we would have to say to his sisters over time, hey, don't side with the other person. Side with your brother publicly. Side with him. Now, what if he was wrong? Then we're going to deal with it privately.
Yeah.
But whatever you do publicly, support your family member.
Right.
Whenever there is a disagreement of some sort. So this happened even when we were at a restaurant one time and I didn't care for the server. Server was rude and the server said something to me. And when I went after the server, my members of my family got embarrassed. So they almost went to defend the server over me. And I said, no, come back to something here. We defend family publicly. We support family publicly. If the family member's wrong, we will deal with it privately.
Right.
Now, we did that because we wanted to make sure that our family didn't have any unresolved conflicts with one another that may have spilled out in a setting like that.
Right.
Maybe they're mad at their brother, or they're upset with me, the father, or even you, they were upset. And that's when it came out.
Right.
So we never wanted there to be this unresolved conflict in our home that would spill out in the public.
Right.
Plus, we always wanted to make sure that us as a family would always show 100% support of one another.
Right.
We needed to. If your family can't support you, who
Who
will?
can? Right.
So the family should be there, come hell or high water, thick or thin. Listen, that's all what you have. You have family.
You do.
So we wanted to do that. But let's talk about something, Mary, that happens in families. And that is they just don't resolve conflicts.
Yeah. That is one of the, I think, the top 10 issues. I'm sorry, I have something in my eye, but get it. There's just this inability, maybe they don't have the skill, maybe they don't have the know-how, they weren't taught how to resolve differences. And that might be because of gender differences. It might be because of age differences, personalities. You know, there's a lot of different personalities in families. And when that happens naturally, there's conflict. But one of the things that we really talked about before we got in the podcast booth is there's conflict that's normal in families. We go to work with people we have conflict with. Conflict's normal with human beings. It's the unresolved part. And there's so many people, and I can speak from experience, that never were really taught the resolve part of conflict. You just make the best of it. You walk around on eggshells all the time. And the truth is, you don't have to live that way. And you shouldn't live that way.
You shouldn't.
Because it leads to sickness, it leads to heart attacks, it leads to anxiety, and it really leads to separation within the family.
Yeah. Well, you need to teach your kid this. You need to do it because you're teaching your kid this. You're modeling this. And what we've learned out of life is young people are not being equipped with the right relational skills that are needed to help keep a happy relationship. Now, I'm Italian or from an Italian heritage. You come from more of a purely American heritage. You're a little bit less loud in your resolution of matters. I've been raised more or less that we're going to hit this thing and we're most likely going to hit it hard and we're going to hit it loud. But it's not because we're like out of control, but it's just when we speak in that realm, we have a tendency to be a little bit more aggressive.
And going to Italy and being in that environment shows that that's a culture.
Having a Christmas or New Year's party at the Alessi family when they were all around.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, and it's like
I saw it.
It's like Latinos.
Yeah.
Some of them more aggressive than others. So here's how it worked out with you and I. I would always want to hit something in the moment. You would be what? How was your approach?
Well, I was a lot more slow to hit something that was either from an aggressive perspective or with honesty, because I didn't want to create more conflict. And I always felt like when you jump on it, let cooler heads prevail. Don't jump on it right now in the moment. Let's do this calmly. Can't we, just all get along? If I could have worn that T-shirt, I would have. And there's both that need to kind of come together. But I had more of a tendency to just let things go, but they didn't really necessarily go.
And jumping on it in the moment sometimes only created a longer quiet time in the car, or maybe someone being a little bit madder longer. And so it wasn't always like the perfect moment. The whole thing was both could happen.
Yes.
Yes. But if you're going to hit it right away, it's good to do so without anger, right?
Right.
Even the scripture says, be angry and sin not. So if you can, if something's upset you that needs to be resolved, you can do so without blowing up. And that's where sometimes hitting it in the moment seemed like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
The other side of it was, if you didn't hit it then.
When are you going to hit it?
Then your issue was, hey, we'll get to it. Well, it would anger me because then I'm like, when are we going to get to it?
Yeah, because I'd get over it and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Right. And the other part, the kid that needed, the child that needed to be corrected. Didn't ever get that direction. And then when you leave your kid to themselves, even young adults do this. When you leave a person to themselves with flawed reasoning, then they think that's normal.
Yeah.
And you can't let that flawed reasoning be normal. Somebody's got to correct it to help them grow up and mature so they bring the right kind of healthy response or attitude or thoughts into their relationships.
Yes. And, there's, for those who are a little bit more passive about that, there's all kinds of ways you can say things. You can say things aggressively, you can say things not aggressively. But the point is, say the thing. That's the point. To get to resolve, say it. And when we focus, and this has always been a frustration for you, focusing too much on the way I say it. But is it truthful? Is it the truth? Will it bring peace? Will it bring resolve? Okay, then that's what you have to look at. Yes, you can always tame the way you say something, but sometimes when you're in the heat of passion and something is wrong and you need to say it, it can come out angry and aggressive. It doesn't mean you are angry, and this will set free all the people who are on the anger triad. But it can come out that way. But what we do is in relationships, in the family, we'll say, you said it mad, so I'm not going to listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you just shut down the truth
Mm-hmm.
because of the way the person said it. Now, we can always work on that. But to me, getting older and more mature now, and me being an extreme of say it right or I'm not going to hear it. And I think in the past, because of the Italian heritage, your family was just more, just say it, doesn't matter what decimal level, just say it. I couldn't handle that in the beginning. And we both managed that, and we both have kind of reached that sweet spot in our family. Because if we hadn't, we wouldn't be able to work together. Where we're not going to over focus on the way something's said if what is said is truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what's even more harmful. You just delay the truth in the realm of the truth needs to be stated. It's that old movie, You Can't Handle the Truth. Again, the name, I cannot think of the name of that movie, but somebody can write in and tell me the name of that movie with the famous actor.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know who he is. But that
Courtroom
scene in
setting.
the courtroom
Mm-hmm.
setting where he goes, you can't handle the truth. And I think families really shy away from being honest with one another because they take too much time focusing on how to say something.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not this open, intimate environment where you get a pass for being a little angry when you said it because it's true.
Yeah, and not doing it, not resolving something.
Oh, it's worse.
Doesn't just upset you as the parent or the sibling. It'll upset the whole family.
It does.
So
it's
I
true.
remember when one of our kids were young and they loved to eat and they were quite chunky. And we wanted to say something. I wanted to say something, but you never wanted me to say it because you considered it, be careful we don't fat shame at the time, right?
Hurt the kid.
We don't want to hurt the kid. But the kid was not happy with themselves.
Right.
And would complain about being big and overweight and but loved cookies and every other sweet thing that was out there. And we always would make it up saying, oh, they just love food. And matter of fact, one day we're going to open up a bakery on your own because you just love food, because she would eat. And then, so that's a she. So there's three girls in the family. You got to figure out who this is.
They know who it is.
And then, all right. So Gabby, we would sit down at the table, and she would reach over and she'd want to taste your food. She'd want to taste my food. Oh,
she was a foodie.
She was a foodie.
She still is.
But she just was going through a odd
change
stage.
Of life.
Her little, going into puberty, her body and everything, and she was just so
12
cute.
was tough.
That was tough for her. So we would never say anything, but it so bothered her sisters because her sisters weren't like that.
Right.
Stephanie was always eating strawberries and fruit.
Right.
Lauren was always eating healthy. She made sure, because of Terry's influence, the one lady that helped us for a while with the kids, she was always giving them healthy snacks. It was just Gabby wasn't eating right. So when she wasn't and she was getting overweight, she would be so upset about herself that one day the girls got so mad at you.
Yeah, they took it out on me.
Because you did not address it with Gabby.
Right.
And Gabby's upset. So even at a young age, these kids already are saying to you, Mom, well, she's upset because she's fat, but you're afraid to make her upset because she's eating the wrong kind of food.
Yeah.
And what's the whole thing there? It's like nobody wants to resolve something that's not healthy, that's not right. Nobody wants to have the hard conversation, whether it's the eating, whether it's, the way talking to each other in the household, whether it's, spending too much time away from the family, never wanting to be with the family, and sitting down saying, hey, how come you're having more fun out there but not in here?
Right.
Nobody wants to address an attitude anymore, maybe bad language that's being used in the household, a lack of commitment to God. Nobody wants to address those things.
Right.
Because it's almost as though culture is seeped into our home. And thankfully, there seems to be a pushback to this woke thing. But nobody wants to pinpoint the negative obvious because they put you on this pedestal of like, okay, who do you think you are? You're holier than thou. You're perfect. And they make it about you're judging somebody.
Right.
No, it's not that you're judging somebody. It's you're correcting somebody. You're not just correcting them, you're directing them to what is a healthy version of living that then, if it's obvious to the whole family
Right.
and it's upsetting the whole family, somebody has to say, hey, let's talk about this. This behavior is not going to go well with you as you continue your life. It's not going to help you with the kids. Hey, you're not going to like this. It's going to hurt your family or your
Right.
relationships, your dating, your marriage. Somebody's got to have the conversation. When do we do it?
Right. And we do have a tendency to shut down the truth teller. We don't want the truth teller to tell the truth because if they do, they're going to hurt the person.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed even with Gabby, what I realized is that she by nature was more of a truth teller type of person. You could tell Gabby the truth because she'll certainly tell you the truth.
Yes, she will.
And all those things, learning about one another and just letting the truth prevail, it's so important for the truth to prevail that it does its own healing. And even though you might not like the truth, you're on the receiving end of it and you don't want to hear it, somebody had to tell you and put themselves in a difficult position to tell you the truth. So you're going to have issues in the family. I say, don't let those issues be so deep that it creates a divide. You can have normal issues in family. You left the refrigerator door open, you keep doing it, please close it. Or you don't help me feed the dogs, or you don't put the hose away, you don't take the garbage out. Those normal conflicts, everybody's going to get used to it. But what you don't want is for the conflict to be a lack of truth in the family, where the family is not a safe place to hear the truth or to tell the truth. And that's what's happening in America. I'm sure it's around the world, but I know it's happening in America. I want to just give a shout out to a lot of our listeners because we were saying this on the way in. We have some great listeners that are habitual listeners. I don't know if that's the right word. They listen to the show every single time it comes out. They are faithful. And then they post about it as soon as they get the podcast. Some of them will listen to the podcast and post about it before I even realize it went up on a Wednesday. They're just so faithful. And something that we've noticed about those faithful listeners, they actually take what we share in this podcast and they put it into practice. And we are seeing the fruit and they're seeing the fruit in their life.
Yeah.
So we hope that will be something that people will continue to do. And in this topic, this area right now, there's no greater way to start 2025 than with making a decision that in my family, we are going to be a place where we tell the truth and we will hear the truth.
Very good.
Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And yes, you're going to fight more. That's healthy.
Yeah.
That's healthy. What's not healthy and what leads to division, what leads to separation, what leads to resentment, bitterness, a major wedge, which will show up in 10 to 15 years from now, and why a family member never comes to Christmas anymore. Well, you can trace it back to the fact that maybe they were a truth teller and they couldn't tell the truth in their own home. That's what happens. But if you can decide, it's hard. I mean, it's been hard for me. I am not by nature that person. I've adopted that as a role model in my family, and I've become that. Thank God, hormones and menopause have made that even easier. It has. It's given me a lot more boldness and confidence. But I've been married to a truth teller. You've always been the person that calls out the truth. But what I witnessed, which is what I hope our podcast listeners, please listen. What I personally witnessed is somebody that I just don't want conflict. I just don't want conflict. And if you tell them the truth, they're going to be hurt and that's going to create conflict. Please don't. Just keep it wrapped up. I want the fruit of the truth. I don't want the work of the truth. But what I've witnessed is the harmony in our family and the
Mhm.
safety and security our daughters feel.
Mhm.
And our son as well.
Yeah.
Our son as well. But for our daughters, they're going to go into families
Yeah.
with husbands.
Yeah.
And we're setting them up to be the wives that don't bring any dysfunction
Mhm.
into their in-law families.
Yeah.
Be honest, be kind,
Yep.
be loving, but you can be honest. Honesty is its own reward,
Yeah.
Steve.
Well, here's an example of something just happened. We had some work being done at the house, and we were getting ready for something. So we had our son-in-law, Munya, over, and he used some of my tools,
Right.
right, from the garage. So they left. I walked out, and I noticed the tool box was not put back in the where he found it. So I could have just let this go, but I've seen this happen when I go to the camp. Men come up to the camp, they use my tools, they don't put them back.
Right.
And so it's like nobody teaches young men something as simple as how to keep the garage or the toolbox organized, and so on and so forth. It's some of it's just absent father. Nobody's teaching them how to do it. So I don't little things like that I can overlook for one or two times, but I've seen it happen a couple of times. So all I did yesterday was take my phone and I took a picture of the tool box and the tool cabinet behind it.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
blurry in the
Tongue
back how you do it.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I sent him a text with the picture saying, "Man, I could have sworn that I put these tools in the tool cabinet on Saturday after I used them," and
Oh
then
my
put a little
gosh.
smiley face. And he replied right away, "I'm so sorry. I did take them out. And then when I went to put them back, I couldn't remember exactly where because they didn't fit," which is true.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
I put them in there, I needed to organize the
Right.
tool cabinet. So
it was your fault.
I didn't set him up to win. That's all I could say. And then he replied, and I said, "Yeah, I know you were raised with a dad that would have definitely taught you that." Because he
Absolutely.
said in the text, "No, I'm notorious for it. I hate when people use my tools
Yeah.
and don't put them back."
Yeah.
All that was
Yes.
just simply saying, before this becomes an issue with me,
Yes. Yes.
because you know how easy it is for a father-in-law to look at his son-in-law and think, "Oh, he's got issues," and never address it.
He disrespects me.
Or just
Yeah.
think that's him.
Yeah.
That's him, and pick up an attitude
Yep.
like,
Yep.
he's going to always be an issue. He's going to have a problem. And then maybe when your daughter says something about her
Right.
husband,
Oh, man.
you're quick to jump on that. Like,
Because of the tools he left out 6 years
oh,
ago.
yeah, baby, I know. I saw him. He left out tools.
6 years
Are
ago.
you kidding me?
Yeah.
Why allow that to foster
That's
bad feelings
good.
towards the other family? I'll tell you when your business is going to be when your business will become other people's business. Your family will become other people's business, right?
You got it. Say it one more time.
Thank you.
One more time.
No.
Okay.
When your family business will become other people's business, you know when that happens? When you're so frustrated with your family that you start talking about your family to other people. And then those other people are going to start talking about your family to their people and their people. And then this rumor mill goes out. And this family are the people that you should be protecting the most.
Oh,
so
man.
you got to resolve some of these issues,
right.
so that, nobody else needs to talk about it.
Right.
Bad attitude. You don't want a boss in the workplace talking about your kid having a bad attitude. They will,
Right.
if you don't address it.
Right.
If you don't want a bunch of young men talking about your daughter's dress.
Oh, it's true.
If you don't go after and say, "Baby, you're showing a little bit too much of this or that."
Yeah.
Because if you don't, listen,
they're going to be talked about.
They're going to be talked about.
Absolutely.
Somebody else is going to do it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because your business will become other people's
It gets out there.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that happening.
Right.
So you want to address it. And I believe we're going into a new year where it's all going to be about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like as a church organization, we're going to be appealing to our leadership ability, the leadership that has been put within each and every one of us. We all have that. We are called first to lead ourselves before we can lead a family, before we can lead an organization, before we can lead a ministry. You got to know how to lead yourself. So we're going to be hitting that. And part of leadership is recognizing it's a self-awareness.
Right.
where I am weak.
Mm.
We're in the car coming over here today to work, and you bring up, okay, I need to go see my doctor
Mm-hmm.
because you're aware of something that's just certain pains in your
Right.
legs. And you know, okay,
I need to make a tweak.
I need to make
Yep.
a tweak. All right. In the past, when we were younger and such, we're not always thinking like,
No.
let me do it. We push it off, we push it off, we
Right.
push it off,
Right.
push it off. But wisdom, the years of experience has taught us, wisdom says, if something's off in you, fix it
Yeah.
because it's going to make you a healthy person. And in this case, our family is better without an ailing mom, having a headache, body aches, and so on,
Yeah.
because she's not taking care of herself.
Right.
It's affecting everybody else. That thing can be played out in every area of our life.
Yeah.
We have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, let me take care of me. Or at least in the sense of, let me fix me, let me lead me. And as a leader of a household, once you lead yourself, you got to help your kids learn how to lead themselves.
Yeah.
So you have to course correct.
Yeah.
You have to bring direction. You have to address the conflicts. And it's a conflict because somebody's behavior is off.
Right.
There wouldn't be conflict, wouldn't be strife
Yeah.
if somebody wasn't off. But if there's something off in the family, you need to address it. Now, we encourage, of course, doing so in the best way possible that doesn't create a blow up.
Right.
But sometimes you need a blow up.
Sometimes a blow up's healthy. It blows everything up and you start fresh.
Maybe you see it finally.
Yeah. You can always go and apologize for blowing up, but don't apologize for the truth.
If you're the one on the side that's being talked to about some corrections and directions, don't make it about the person's presentation.
Yeah.
Filter through that. Don't let that become your excuse for not being better. Well, he didn't talk to me the right way, or she should have said it better.
Or not receiving it because you don't want to hear it because of the way you said it, which the truth is you didn't want to hear it, period.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You know, I want to quickly tell this story because there are families that have different degrees of conflict issues. And we're really, you know, for the family that isn't quite there yet with unresolved issues, this is such a good podcast for you because you can put these things into play now. But if you've been raised with somebody like I was, with somebody who was a walking, talking, breathing, unresolved conflict.
Mm-hmm.
He was at conflict within himself. My father was a fun man, a happy man, a sweet man, a hilarious, creative, but he was very troubled in his soul.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we were relationally with him, and I didn't realize that as a kid because it didn't affect me, it affected my mom, and it's what led to the divorce and ultimately led to me not really seeing my father for 20 years after the divorce, was because the truth was a no-go zone in our family. You could not touch it. Quite frankly, Dad was a narcissist. He would be diagnosed today by a psychiatrist as a full-blown narcissist. He was. And, you know, you could go back and say why and all that. It doesn't matter. The truth was not listened to or heard in our home. And and my dad married a woman who was all truth. And that's why I think I fell for you in the beginning, because you had that same quality. And my mom had that same quality.
Along with my good looks.
And your good looks and your muscular build. But mom just, every time she would try to get to a place of honesty. When she finally got to truth, Dad left.
Yeah.
And what do we take from all that? Well, what we took from that, and I'm so proud of my mother, she let us know he was wrong, but we love him and we honor him. He was wrong. And that toxic trait will not, it's not going to stay, it's leaving with him.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be truth tellers.
Yeah.
We're going to be honest with our feelings. Dad couldn't, because my father was the type of person that if you told him the truth, he wouldn't speak to you for 3 days.
Yeah. He punished you.
He punished you for the truth.
Yeah.
That was nothing but manipulation.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that was a learned trait in me until I married you.
Yeah.
And then all that starts to come out.
Well, the opposite happened in our family.
Yeah.
Because we did have a major issue, and it was on my dad's side. And we had a family gathering. We had one of those sit downs, those whole, confrontation deal.
Yeah.
And we were all around the table. He was right there. And we came to the table as young adults with truth, with the backing of my mom, support of my mom. And at the end of that conversation, Dad had, one of two options.
Yes.
If he was not going to, get
Align
up,
with the
align with the
family.
family, then we were going to have to make some serious decisions. Or he could go ahead and, align himself with it, and we'd all do our deal. And uh, we were all so angry at Dad when all that was happening. And we scheduled a vacation trip right around the holidays to go snow skiing. And we were all angry at him that we didn't buy him a ticket. We
Yeah.
weren't going to let
He
him
wasn't
come with us.
coming.
He wasn't. And sure enough, he made the moment was not that great. There was, aggression, and there was loud discussion. But we stood strong in our resolve that behavior is not going to be accepted, and it's not tolerated and won't be allowed in the family. And you got a decision to make, not us, because we've already made our
Right.
decision. We're on the
Right.
side of right here. And he made the right decision.
He did.
And sure enough, that joker showed up at the airport. We were all so mad at him. He was not going to let us go on that trip. And
that was before Uber. You couldn't get dropped off. However he did it, there was no internet. There was nothing.
We laugh now. It was terrible then.
It was awful.
And he had to sit in a different seat all by himself in the plane because we all had our receipts, and he wasn't a part of it. But he responded the right way. Here was the point of it. You can't let behavior that's unhealthy continue.
No.
You got to address it.
Yes, you do.
If you want a healthy family, keep the unhealthy behavior and mindsets and attitude out. You have to address it. Somebody's got to do that. You've got to be the gatekeeper here. And a parent, that's on you.
Right.
As a parent, figure out a way to have the conversation. We called it carefrontation.
Yeah.
Because I care for you, I'm going to confront you. This behavior needs to change. And then you give them the opportunity to change it. If they don't change it, you need to pull back some of the blessings and benefits that they get, some of the privileges. Right. If they do change it, you got a better kid on your hand. You got a better family environment on your hand.
Yeah.
And that's all we want to say about that.
Yep.
Good podcast.
This was a great podcast. And I think I'm realizing why we're making a podcast, because we both have dealt with this at a 10 level.
Yeah.
Young in our lives. We've learned a lot from having dysfunction on both sides of our family at the highest level. I mean, if you want to hear about our family stories, you can go back and watch the other podcast, because we shared in depth about my father and mother, your father and mother's situation. Yeah. But I will say, if you compared the two side by side, and we've had our moms in this podcast.
Yeah.
We have said it. What saves the day? Truth.
Yeah.
What destroys relationships? Unresolved conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
So be a truth teller. Be a truth seeker. Mm-hmm. And it will bring healing and sustainability to your family.
Excellent. Well, if this podcast has encouraged you and has, as we say in the church world, blessed you, do what we encourage you to do at the beginning so you can go ahead and get a free mug. Like it and pass it on, share it with others, and comment, because if you'd like to hear more of this kind of content, because we can go on about this whole issue of resolving the conflicts. We got more to say about it. Let us know. We'll be glad to share it with you. Well, we hope this episode of the Alessi family, of the family business with the Alessis. Good night. You think I'd get it after all these episodes? It's a new year.
It's okay. We'll get it.
We hope it has been an encouragement to you. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, and click on the notifications bell so you can be notified for all of our future videos. And if you loved today's topic, we have plenty more. And you can click on this link right here to watch all of our videos so you can learn why family is everybody's business.